From the dining room of my third floor apartment in Broward County, damn near in the Everglades, in these United States, all the way at the bottom of the map, it's the Marleyminded podcast starring Young Goob the God. Oh, Lord. Tonight, Goob welcomes Ant, drop that boy in, as well as Pretty Tone as soon as he get himself in the building. We chopping it up about a couple of things. We relating that wonderful video series short movie, bring that thing to the forefront. Two distant strangers, and linking that to the recent events in Minnesota to talk about our situation here with being a black man in America. Just leave me alone, please. Young Goob the God, Marleyminded podcast. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Do what you do. And what's up, homie? Welcome back to the podcast.
What's happening?
Beautiful thing having you in the building.
Happy to be here.
In these world as usual. I see you sipping on that thing.
A little bit of red.
You know
It's a long fucking day.
Yeah, I feel you.
Good day. It was a good day, just a long day.
And once you get to this point in your life, you're not a young boy. You like every day that I'm around this thing to do something is a good day. Whether I got to go hard at it, whether it comes smooth, every day is a good day. You know what I'm saying? It's gotten to that point in time where you're looking at it like, as long as I got a chance to do something, then I'm right.
It's like, you know, when you was small, when you was young, and your grandma, your grandparents be like, I woke up this morning, so you know it's a good day.
Yeah.
That shit's starting to resonate, you
Yeah.
know, even more, especially considering, you know, the climate. Right.
Definitely not talking about the weather.
Definitely not talking about the weather.
Not talking about the weather. The climate in this country has been the climate, in my opinion, for that of 400 years, 300 years, ever since we continent to set up some type of commerce in an effort to reduce the war that was going on. It never really ended. It always been something, and we've been looked at as the enemy of the European, the black man, for so long that it's like it's just in our nature to see it as when we see somebody like them, there's potential to be a problem. Like, I have to be on guard. Even a stranger, somebody has done nothing to me, I've done nothing to them, never seen it before in my life. Still, for some reason, and not for some reason, I'm tired of people acting like this thing, like it doesn't make common sense. Of course it doesn't make common sense. It's intentional. After so long of breaking common sense rules, stop being like, why is this happening? It's intentional. From those who are doing it, it is intentional. So no longer will you look at it from this day forward as some type of, why is this still going on? It's intentional. People are doing it because they want to do this. If you don't know, Young Goob God is letting you know that that's what it is. That's what it is. Now, there was recently a Netflix release. I want to bring it up front. I'm still working on my skills with being a producer and a host at the same time. Boom. Two Distant Strangers, recently on Netflix, that released this Oscar nominated. I want to call the brother name, but I do not want to make a mistake calling his name. But this film, or this short film, speaks directly to the situation that we go through, and we have been going through our entire lives, whether we wanted to or not. We had to deal with that situation, and it is the fact that we are victims constantly of police violence, whether it is by the hands of a gun, whether it's by the hands of by your knee, whether it's your forearm choking us out, whether it's just them lights coming on while I'm on 95, whether it's you just pulling behind me when I'm riding down the street. We've been victimized enough where your scars run deeper than your economic experiences can take you, deeper than your travels across the world, your cultural experiences can take you. We've been victimized so much that I can spot a police car from as far as my eyes can see an object on the interstate. And I've never been a criminal. Why do I have this skill? Why? Because I got to make sure that every time I get in my car, I get home safely. I make it back to my dwelling or my destination in this one whole piece that I left with.
Mm-hmm.
It is liable for liable to be a situation simply because I am who I am. And that is more than a problem, more than a problem, but it is more than a reality as well.
It's definitely a reality, and I think the I think the movie it did a lot in 32 minutes. Them 32 minutes was dense. You know what I mean? Like, and it was well done, but it definitely reflects what's happening right now in society. It definitely reflects what's been happening in society. It definitely did a good job of capturing how we as young black males feel on the daily. You know what I'm saying? Like, it captured that. Like, anybody who ever kind of outside of listening to rap music, if you ever wanted to like kind of visually see the anxiety that we go through on a daily basis, if you wanna see like how when we get up in the morning, we try to make sure that we adhere to the social bylaws. We, you know, open doors, let people in the first, compliment people, not because we want to, but it's like a survival skill. It's like, you can't we live our life on defense. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically the way to put it in a nutshell. Like, if you are African American male, if you living in America, you know what I'm saying, black or brown, you live your life on defense. Every time, you walk outside, you on defense. You never on offense. You never walking out the door, thinking that you're gonna scope. You walking out the door knowing that you on defense. And every time you score, it's because you've been playing hella defense. You know what
You
I'm
done
saying?
stole the ball.
Yeah, our offense turned into defense. I mean, our defense turned into offense. We always on the defensive. And the thing about that is when you having conversations with white folk and you're talking about your experiences, they gonna naturally view you as being pessimistic. Like, you a pessimist. Like, your outlook on the world is just damning. And the truth of the matter is that nah, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. There's a difference between going through life expecting negative shit to happen and going through life with negative shit always happening, even if it's third hand or third party, and understanding that this could be me. The outlook is more so like, this could be me, because the people that it's happening to look like me. It's just that hasn't come to my door yet. So I think the lines get blurred when people who don't look like us view us as pessimists or negative or having this view of police. Nah, man, that shit is something that was acquired. We didn't come in the world going into society feeling like that. That's some shit that we've been conditioned to understand that, hey, if I get pulled over by the police, I might not make it home. If I walk out my door, I might not make it home. You know what I'm saying? So it's not us having a negative outlook on the world. It's not us feeling like, and I want to touch on the point with you saying like victimized. Like, going back to the last podcast, like, please understand that we not saying that we are suffering from victimization syndrome. Like, nah, we not playing a victim. We not feeling victimized, but we understand that when we walk out the door, we can be a victim. And everybody who's been a victim look like us. It's like an old joke. This, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucker, like, I'm not saying that all white boys are serial killers. But as of up until recently, all serial killers have been white boys. You know what I'm saying? So based on deductive reasoning, if I'm driving down the street and I get pulled over by the police, my immediate thought is I may not make it home. You start sending texts to your people. You start calling your people and putting them on speakerphone so they can hear the encounter. That shit is like being in the plane and it's about to go down. You start sending your loved ones text messages. So every time we get pulled over, that anxiety of damn near feeling like you in a plane that's about to crash and you may not see your loved ones again, that's the shit that we feel when we get pulled over by the police. I ain't never been in no plane that's been nosediving and about to crash, and I'm not, and obviously that's an extreme,
Example.
analogy example, but it's relative. You know what I'm saying? The reality is that a motherfucker might not make it home. You know what I'm saying? That we get put over by them blue and red lights.
Because those your body don't know the difference between an actual experience and your mind imagining that experience. The chemical reaction that happened, you can create that same thing within you. So
That's right.
when you see them blue and red lights turn on behind you, it's like the plane going down towards the water. You like, God damn, what is going on from here on out?
What is gonna happen?
What is going to happen from here on out? And unfortunately, the older you get, the wiser you get, and the more compliant you get in an effort to make it through the situation. But compliance doesn't get you through. Being a renegade doesn't get you through. Trying to talk it out doesn't get you through. Trying to be quiet doesn't get you through. All of these efforts to get you through the situation of a traffic stop have caused so many deaths as a result of some other extenuating circumstances that you're going to drag through the mud in an effort to go ham on the violence. So I want to bring the movie into it because Joey Badass, I'm looking at him like, damn, look at Joey acting. You know what I'm saying? He done chopped. At first I was like, is that Joey? But
Yeah.
yes, it is
But
Joey.
he was in he was in Mixed Stitch too. Like, I don't know if you watch Mixed Stitch, the
Oh, I
spinoff.
haven't seen. No, I didn't see him in it. I've seen the episodes, but I haven't seen him in it.
But yeah, he's in Mixed Stitch, but he's playing himself. Like, he's himself, but he's in quite a few episodes where he's playing himself. And Zoe is like stylist. You know what I'm saying? She's his stylist. But
Mm,
he did a good job in that. You know what I'm saying? But that role and Grownish, he wasn't really able to flex like he was able to do, in Two Distant Strangers in terms of his acting skills.
right. So in 32 minutes, it's worth your time. It's a TV show. It's worth your time. Joey Badass and Andrew Howard are the stars of this movie, as well as a young lady named Zaria. It is directed by Trayvon Free and Martin Desmond Rowe, written by Trayvon Free. All right. This is a mature movie, so make sure if you're a jit that you have your parents around so they can help you get through this situation. But in this Oscar nominated short film, a man is trying to go home to his dog that gets stuck in a time loop that forces him to relive a deadly run in with a cop. Now, the run in with the cop, his name is Herc. And I'm telling you right now, I don't forgot the character's movie name in the movie already. Thanks to Ray and Nephew. Congratulations, Ray. You worked already. But they caught in this time loop. So I'm not going to spoil it for people. I'm not going to go into details. But this officer is not it's not one of the officers that we want on the street. He one of these people who we too often see in the situations on the street. Now, I'm gonna tell this from somebody who have police officers in their family. This is not the slander the police. I need the policeman shit happen. Get your ass there, do what you do. But I also need you to do what you do by leaving me alone when it's time for you to leave me alone. All right. I leave you alone when it's time for nothing. I don't call you for no bullshit. Stop coming at me for that bullshit. So anyway, Joey Badass, you're gonna find out he meet a girl, he wake up in the morning, he go out, he encounter this officer in the strangest way, and he is taken out in a way that we see is too often very much relative to uh I Can't Breathe, Eric Gardner. It's it's so many it's so bad. It's been so many of our brothers been taken out in such violent ways that have been put out. I stopped watching the videos first and foremost, but we are it's like which one, not which one was this one, but how did they do him? Was he the choke out?
Mm-hmm.
Or was did he get shot? Or they put
Mm-hmm.
in his back? Or did they do this? You know what I'm saying?
It's like these motherfuckers is trying to get points for the most creative way to kill a nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I just think the movie, again, the movie just did a really, really good job of capturing the emotions of what it's like to be a black man, and you just trying to figure it out. You just trying to figure out. It ain't even about being confrontational. It ain't even about you actually going through life trying to figure out if I encounter the police, what is the best way for me to get out of this situation. And again, I think about when Killer Mike again. I reference him when he was like, "Yo, if you get out, if you get stopped by the police, survive it. The goal is to survive the encounter." But as we're learning, and of course, that's always the goal. The goal is to always to survive the encounter. But as we're learning, even when you're compliant, that shit is just a moot point when you look like us. You know what I'm saying? Compliance does not mean survival. Compliance does not equate to survival. Because
It,
we've seen people be compliant and they still don't make it home.
yeah, it doesn't guarantee anything. None it's so that's the point of the movie. It's not about your behavior. It's not how you interact with the people who have this mind state who are participating in this job of a private security for the municipality. Excuse me, Ray and nephew, stop. For the municipality that they work for, or the county that they work for, the state that they work for, or the federal agency that they work for. These people have taken on this, and no matter what you do, whether you comply, whether you talk to them, whether you relate, whether they drop you off, whether they know you, whether they don't know you, whether they see you, whether they stereotype you, whether they have a little bit of understanding, whether they have a lot of understanding, whether they have no understanding, it's liable for liable that you can be a victim of them simply because you, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what you do. And that ain't a climate that people want to live under. Have we learned to live under it? Yes. Have we learned to thrive under it? Yes. Do we learn to grow past it? Yes. Am I saying push me to the front of the line because I've been getting pushed to the back of the line for so long? No. Just get out my way.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
throwing shit in the way, dog. Stop, dog. If you do that, then I'd be straight. I wouldn't care about nothing else. You wouldn't hear me utter nothing else related to any of the institutionalized and systematic racism and injustice that been done to people who were natives of this land, the indigenous people of this North America gate that we live on. Let me calm down. Just get out my way and I'll be straight.
Just get out of the way, dog. Like
I created this thing, dog. You living in my world. And you done manipulated my world through violence. Get out my way, dog. Leave me alone, please, and I'll be straight. I guarantee it'll be better off for everybody involved.
so going to Dante Wright. What you think about the Dante Wright situation?
The details of it don't even matter. Like how it happened, it's just that it happened again.
Check
Now,
it.
this situation, you are a 26-year veteran of this institution, and you think one weapon is another weapon, and you fire it in the car, and it takes the life of a person who has a misdemeanor. When And I don't even want to say like when there's plenty of evidence of y'all taking these white boys who done killed 4 people, giving them water, we know how the game go. That's just what y'all do, dog. That's what you do. You've been exposed to one of them people who do what you do. You've been taught that.
Guess
Stop
what, Dante?
me like
Guess
a
what?
goddamn accident, dog. You've been taught that. I apologize, then. But you
Nah, guess what he did when he got pulled over though. Guess what he did when he got pulled over?
called his old girl.
Called his old girl, dog.
Cause it's possible to go down, dog.
It could go down. He called his old girl. Like that's the part that's disheartening. Outside of that brother losing his life, the anxiety. That's what I'm always going back to. The anxiety to feel like you got to call your loved ones just for a traffic stop. The anxiety that overcome you for simple shit like making a legal lane change, going 5 or 10 miles over the speed limit.
He
Get
called
maybe
his
even
old.
getting maybe
Yeah,
even getting pulled over with expired tags.
he said he had an air freshener. That's why he was getting pulled over. He thought because that's illegal in Minnesota to have an air freshener hanging from your rearview mirror. So he thought that was why he was getting pulled over. That's what he told his old girl. But then they said it was a illegal tag or expired tag that made them run his ID and find out that he had a misdemeanor warrant.
Yeah,
I mean,
for a
it's
no show, right? For a no
yeah,
show.
that he had no clue about during the pandemic. Well, and a no-show mean that he ain't show up to a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, right.
He ain't get a link.
Didn't get a link.
Here you go. Pussy Crockers killed him because he ain't get a link.
Pretty, yeah, yeah. And
Come on.
then you see
He
what the warrant for. The warrant ain't for murder. The warrant ain't for kidnapping. You could see, I'm sure they could see what the warrant for.
But
The
you say
warrant ain't for nothing to make you feel like you're gonna lose your life. The warrant ain't nothing for it to make you feel a threat. You just like killing niggas. And the thing about it is that I'm not a cop, but the chief, he did get on and say that, they taught to carry their firearm on their dominant side. They supposed to keep their firearm on their dominant side. So if I'm right-handed and I'm a cop, then I should know that, hey, my firearm is gonna be on my right-hand side. So if you reach for some shit on your left-hand side, then you should know that's the taser. If you intentionally reach for some shit on your right-hand side, and then also, I ain't ever carried no fucking cop taser, but just in my mind, I'm thinking that the weight is off.
I've seen the ones they
The
carry.
weight of a firearm and the weight of a taser, I'm sure the firearm, and I don't know, but I'm assuming just off logic that the firearm may be a little heavier than the taser.
One is yellow.
One is yellow.
One is banana Joey badass hoodie yellow. And the other is cop killer black.
The whole time I was looking at the video, I'm looking at the video like, but that is a gun in your hand. Like,
I can't watch the videos no more because in an effort to remain positive in this world, I can't just keep watching my people get gunned down. Even the lieutenant in the army who had to deal with the officer recently. I just heard and continue to hear about it. I won't watch these videos and much more because it don't matter. And I don't want to be like it don't matter because their lives don't matter. But we know the product on the other side where these variables get put together. The math ain't hard because there's been so much pattern in it. So not watching the video when I can. If I watch it, that's because I need to watch it, maybe to turn them juices back on. But I know what they want out of us by watching. Mo
Mm,
scared, Mo tremble, Mo not having to put the gun on you from afar when they could just put the gun on from you from a distance with the mental gun, got you mentally by the, you know what I'm saying, at the head. And
yeah,
they 100 yards, they just pulled on the interstate a half mile, and just because I got good rearview mirrors, it feel like they right behind me like this. Why that's like that, dog? Not
cause the police living in your head rent free.
yeah,
Like they living like if you an African American male, if you're a Latino male, like the police, if you're African American female, you know what I'm saying? If you're a Latino female, because some sisters been taken out.
yeah.
The police living in your head rent free, and it ain't, it's being aware and being cognizant of the fact that they don't like me, and I don't even care about you liking me. Like like you've been saying, just leave me alone, just stay out the way. It's like when you're trying to study, right? Or it's like when you at work. You way more productive when a motherfucker just leave you alone. Like stop stopping by my office trying to have a conversation every 5 minutes. Cause at that point you harassing me. And when you harass me, it's gonna throw me off my pivot. It's gonna make me off kilter. And then I'm gonna start doing shit, preparing for you to do some shit to me. And that's gonna take away from my productivity. There's so much shit that I could accomplish if I wasn't concerned about you fucking with me. But because I gotta be cognizant when I'm out in society, I gotta be conscious of the fact that this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. White people in the world they ain't concerned about that shit. They gonna get up in the morning, they gonna take a shower, they gonna eat breakfast, they gonna go to work, they gonna drive to work, not being concerned about getting pulled over. They could drive in any neighborhood they want and don't be concerned about being pulled over. They could walk through any neighborhood they want to and not be concerned about a pussy ass cracker asking them, do you live here? Like the situation in South Carolina.
With the young boy in his own neighborhood.
In his own neighborhood. Who the fuck is you to ask me how long I've been living here? And I'm so happy that the young boy didn't back down. He wasn't scared. He didn't show no fear. Just because you hovering over me, bro, that shit don't mean shit. But
You
I
a
can't walk
grown
through my own
man.
neighborhood where my family pay property taxes without feeling like I'm gonna be treated as an outsider. That shit is lame. And that's the anxiety. Like that's the anxiety. Like even if I want to move into some nice shit, I got to deal with the anxiety of my neighbors feeling like I don't belong there. You could not give a fuck. And sometimes we walk around acting like we don't give a fuck, but in the back of our mind, we know that them motherfuckers looking at us like we don't belong. And it ain't that we really care. We just know that there's repercussions that come from people feeling like we don't belong.
Now you have to consciously not give a fuck. You have to purposely not give a fuck. It ain't that you can just blindly not give a fuck and just be like, oh, I'm just living. I'm oblivious to the fact that the people around me have these opinions.
There's
No,
a
you
conversation you have with yourself where you like, damn,
consciously be like, I don't care what these people think about me. Young Goob the God coming out in this world, he gonna do what he do. Feel how you feel about it. I don't care what color you claim, what nationality you claim. Do what you do. I'm gonna do what I do, and we're gonna ride on it. And I'm gonna deal with how it go. I done made that covenant with myself. You're gonna be Young Goob the God, and it's gonna be how it go.
but that's still a
Hey, I
conversation
can't be
you
who
got.
you want me to be. Who do you want me to be? You want me to be somebody? You want me to be somebody? Crackers want me to be somebody? You don't think I'm nobody? Crackers. And it's just like,
But the fact you got to even have that conversation with yourself is disheartening. You know what
is
I'm
that
saying? Like, is the fact that you even gotta psych yourself out. Because really, when you have those conversations with yourself and you like, you know what, I'm just go through the world. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna do me. I can't be concerned about how they view me or how they view me. That's really yourself psyching you out, psyching yourself out. Because even when you do that, The only reason you having that conversation with yourself is because it is a concern. And you're aware of the concern. But in order to push through the concern, you got to talk to yourself. You got to have a conversation with yourself. You got to again, like, you got to remind yourself of who you are. Because if you don't know that, then all that, tension, all that assertion, all that shit you feeling, it's fucked up. But you really just psyching yourself out. You hyping yourself up and then sucking yourself out to believe that you don't care what them motherfuckers think. And at some point, you will get to the point where you don't care what they think, and you don't care how they view you, and you don't care what their opinion is of you. But that shit don't happen overnight. Even when you tell yourself that, it still take conditioning. It's still when a motherfucker say something to you and you just kind of disregard it. It's still a little anxiety that come from you disregarding that shit, especially if you're on the job, because they hold the fate of your employment in their hands. And I'm a firm believer, like, you could do, as long as I go to work and I do what I'm supposed to do, then y'all can't touch me. But that ain't always true. And even if you do know that, it's still some anxiety that come along with telling the motherfucker that you're not gonna do the wrong thing.
The fact that you have to even have a stance that as long as I come to work and do what I'm supposed to do, you can't mess with me.
You're right.
we are already on defense.
We on defense. I'm saying we live our life on defense.
And I say it like, I'm not one who is living under the narratives of the slave narrative book of who I am. That is not my story completely. That is a chapter. That is not the origin. We've been on this continent. This is ours. We just don't know it's ours. We've been blinded. We just grazing through this thing. We've accepted a story. I'm breaking that story. Young Goob got the God is here to tell you that you home. We need to start living like we home. We let people take control of our living room and run ransacked and got you scared running in your bathroom. It's hard being a native of a land being victimized, and you know that you're being victimized because every day you walk out the house and, like we say, you got the hair standing up on the fucking arms because you just want to make it home back to your dog.
To your dog.
And it's like that. I'm in my own home. I'm in my own living room. I should be able to move freely, but the invader, the home invader, is in your house telling you what to do constantly. Like, it is baffling. It's hard to consciously live this. That's why there's an edge to us. We are bumping up against things that are not supposed to be there in our own home. Have we been in another place? Then I will accept that. But we ain't in no another place. We home. This is our home. And not because we citizens. We've been here.
Yeah, we built this.
We built this thing. It is ours. Before these outside entities came in and then put these forces on us and put these things on us, they weren't always here.
So in your mind, I pose a question. In your mind, based on the last 400 years or 20 years, do you believe that, in the words of Sam Cuddy, that the change gonna come?
Oh, change is definitely gonna come. Things move in seasons. Change is inevitable. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what clock you looking at. How you clocking it is going to determine the speed of it, depending on what calendar you're using. If you're looking at the second chart, you're like, damn, ain't nothing changing. Second to second, ain't nothing changing. You look at a month chart, it look different. You look at a yearly chart, it look different. You look at the The 10-year chart, it look different. You look at the lunar chart, it look different. So depending on what chart or how you gonna look at it, change gonna come, but how it come is your based on your perspective. But yeah, change gonna come. Will I see it? I don't know. A lot
I
gonna
feel
happen.
like I feel like every time we making progress, we get hit with the daylight saving time and we fall back.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we be falling back. Like that's the narrative. Every time we spring forward, when we get used to the light, we
Uh,
fall back.
Daylight savings time, dog.
We fall back, dog. Like
With the daylight savings time, dog.
we fall back. Is and then when you fall back,
One time, one time,
One time, dog, I gotta
one
use these
time,
things. Dog.
one
I get so
time.
caught up, man. One time for
when
getting
you
caught up in the daylight savings time.
hey, when you fall back and and then you spring forward, and then you get happy that you get more sunlight, and you seeing shit longer. You can move freely, but then once you fall back, then you gotta reacclimate yourself. Cause think about it, and it's a weird analogy, but it's something that I have been thinking about for a long time in terms of race relation, in terms of society. If you want to use daylight savings time as an analogy, when we spring forward, if you're a person that loves the extra sunlight, loves the extra daytime, you be excited about when it's time to spring forward. But that first day of springing forward, when you lose that hour, you be tired than a motherfucker at work or at whatever you doing. And then you realize that hour, that shit mean a lot. But then eventually you get acclimated and you like, man, this shit great. You leave your job at 5 or 6. You still got about 2.5 hours of daylight, depending on where you at, and you just enjoying the shit. And you just kind of going through life. You going for runs. You doing all kind of shit that you wouldn't normally do it in the fall. But then, right when you get adjusted and acclimated to all this light and you enjoying yourself, you fall back, and then you hate this shit. It's getting darker sooner. When we fall back, it's cold as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's winter time, it's fall time. And you just kind of looking at this shit like, damn, I can't wait till the time come when we spring forward again. So then, like that movie, you kind of caught in that loop. You just kind of like, as soon as you get adjusted, as soon as you think you got it figured out, boom, you fall back. As soon as
So
you get adjusted, as soon as you get figured out and you get used to the light and you think we're making progress, boom, something happened and you fall back and you back in the dog and your dog early.
it's
So at some point, when do you get to kind of like bask in the light? When does the light become permanent? Actually when does the progress not happen in increments? We already know that the shit can't happen overnight, but goddamn, the narrative is always 400 years.
so I figure I can. So being the person who I am, I've been hoping that I have an opportunity to kind of talk about stuff like this on this podcast. So what we are in a time loop. If you look like this way, it's a loop this way. All right, the movie was a time loop. If you turn it this way, it's similar to the revolution of our planet, us going around the sun. You know what I'm saying? When we hit those equinoxes in the spring and in the fall, we have that equal amount of daylight. All right. We have the spring equinox, we have the fall equinox. When we hit those when we hit those solstice in June and December, the winter and the summer solstice, we have dramatic day and dramatic dark. This happens every year. So as we go around this thing, we hit around March, boom, the time change. We get more and more daylight till we get to June, and it's the most daylight of the day. And then it's every day after that, it's shorter, 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 shorter. We get to September, it's equal amount of daylight. Then it's darker more and more and more and more and more and more till we get to December. At the bottom of the year, December 21st, and it turn to winter, it get cold, and it's dark as the longest day, And then from that of March, it started getting more daylight, a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. So we go in this cycle of this bring up the sun, tear down the sun, bring up the sun, tear down. This up and down of create and destroy, but it also happens in a vertical spiral. It ain't just on a flat surface on a 2D plane. In this earth, we live on a 3D thing. So what's happening in a vertical thing, in a vertical spiral, very similar to your DNA. So this cycle of time that we dealing in, we keep going through this loop. But as we evolve over time, it will manifest itself in different ways. Hopefully, we can get more and more sophisticated so that it manifests in our perspective less and less as violence and animosity towards these people who we got them paying to protect us, just like we need protection, just like everybody else need protection from everything else. So this constant loop needs to be refined through the behaviors of those people. So it's just like evolution. Look at basketball over time. And I don't want to lose the concept of what I'm saying. But over a certain time, the same seasons happen, but the talent gets more refined. In 1990, they played the same 82 games with the same roster of people, went through the same scheduling. But in 2021, the talent looks different because that evolution, that cycle is going through and is going through refining in an effort to create a different product. There's going to have to be behavior patterns in the people and in the institutions that allow, as those cycles come, because they're going to come every year. We're going to have until it get evolved out, and who knows how long that take. But we're going to have these situations, hopefully less and less frequent, because the people who are creating them are getting phased out, less and less involved, because that vortex, every time that spring come around, that winter come around, that life come around, and it blow up, and here go life. June 21st is June 20th, 21st, that summer solstice is when God shines his light, the sun shines his light on whole on this planet, like the longest daylight. And everything after that starts to wane in an effort equal in September. Its lowest point, it dies in December and resonates back up. It's born again back in March, and then come on back up. All our holidays are based on this. Everything that we do on this planet is based on this science. You do it knowingly or unknowingly. The violence that is inflicted on us is based on this science. It's being manipulated by these seasons. As these evolutions and these seasons happens, you put details into them that create a product on the back end. You need to start to change the variables in this equation so that we can get a different product. Young Tone in the building, coming through, cleaning up. Get him in a second. He ain't ready.
He ain't ready. Nigga looking like a janitor out this bitch.
Man, he talking. He know he can't be hurt. He don't talking. He don't know he can't be hurt. But that's the situation.
Yeah, and that
we being kicked in our butt every time we leave the house. Like going back to the movie, he walked out the door and he confronted this individual and was like, "Yo, this is what's going on. When I see you, this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and then this happened, and watch this, and watch this." And he like, yeah. Oh, yeah. And at the end, wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And a key thing is because the movie has so many gems, so many hidden things. Like when he opened up the police door and it say CPR. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Play on situations.
Dog, no matter how hard he tried, it was inevitable.
It was inevitable.
After the second time,
you know what it's like. It's kind of like when my grandma used to be like, when we had these conversations early when I was younger, and it's like death is a part of life. I know, don't be ready to die, but just understand that at some point it's gonna come. So she used to say that to be like, don't fear the inevitable. Don't never fear the inevitable. Death is inevitable, so don't fear it. Just try to maximize your time on earth. Try to be as good of a person as you can be. Try to treat people fairly. Treat people with respect. You want to be treated. But it's inevitable. So don't waste your time going through life being afraid of dying, because that's inevitable. So all the time you spend and your thoughts being preoccupied with death and dying and all that shit's a waste of time, because it's gonna happen anyway. So you don't focus on that. You just focus on living. So when he made
experienced a little technical difficulty. I think he's back. The internet be wild. Since we had a little bit of break, I'm gonna throw a little advertisement in here. Fit Life for me is a fitness lifestyle company that I have developed. Get Strong, Get Sexy is our fitness or our training program where we give you really what you want out of your workout. You're not just for the training and the fluff. You want to get strong in whatever degree that you want to get strong in. You want to get sexy, whatever sexy is to you. There's certain principles that allow you to reach both of those. And me being a fitness guru, I've understood those principles and a teacher and a professional educator for many years. I've developed a certain level of skills that allows me to help you build a fitness lifestyle that works for you. So, you're looking to get yourself into a fitness and lifestyle, not to get on a diet, not to do a little 7-day test something out. Really give something that you can have health, wellness, and true fitness for your life. Hit me up at Marleyminded on IG or Fit Life for me at IG, and as well as Facebook. We'll get you together. Young Group of God, Fitness Guru. All right, let's get Tone back in the building.
Yo, Goob, your audio is a little off. You know that, right?
I believe it's my internet connection.
Okay. But yeah,
Right
man,
now,
I was
you're
rushing
coming from a
in the
different
crib,
source.
and I dropped a whole bottle of Pinot Grigio. I'm so mad.
Yeah, man. So we got a few minutes left. I know something happened to my audio. I wasn't sure. I've been playing with this mic.
I apologize for being so late, though.
No, it's all good, Tony. Love is love. Life is life. Things
I
happen.
mean, I'm sure the conversation was probably more thought provoking with Ant on the line. You know what I'm saying?
now what's happening?
All is well. All is well. Tony, you saw Two Distant Strangers.
Yeah, I saw it in you know, it's crazy. Oh man, it's like no matter like I heard y'all saying like no matter what he did and no matter what he tried, this officer was trying to kill him. Like even was gonna kill him, and even when he showed the officer that he was well spoken or whatever the case may be, um, it's just I mean it's just it's crazy, man. It was good though. I mean, it just shows you a glimpse. It just shows you a glimpse of no matter what you do as a black man, you you're still a target. You know what I'm
For sure.
saying?
It made me think about the Trick song, America.
Oh yeah, I remember that joint.
You know, Even if you're in a Benz, you a nigga.
Facts.
No matter where you live, no matter your zip code, like that's what you're gonna be viewed as. No matter how much work you put in, no matter what school you went to, no matter what degrees you hold, they're
Right.
gonna always view you as you are not supposed to be here.
And see, and the one thing that, like, I hear everyone saying, like, yeah, it's time for a change and all that. But in my opinion, and from, knowing a little bit about social studies and all that, to me, there's no change is gonna come until they update the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. We still going off a doctrine that's ancient, that still considers black people to be less than human. So how can we be? I mean, how can we expect change when that joint hasn't even been updated yet?
I don't think the
All
you
right.
got
Can y'all hear me?
yeah
Yeah.
we get
All right. I couldn't hear myself. So I'll speak to the constitutional part because I actually have some knowledge in that part of it. Yeah, once you accept the moniker of being Negro, Black, and colored, you are 3/5 of a person. You're not black. You can't be black. Black is an adjective. It describes something. You are the thing. You're not the black.
Yeah.
You accepted the connotation of black as an identity. It is a status under the Constitution. It is not a nationality. You don't hear the people walking around calling themselves by colors, other than on this land that they created for that. White, black, you go anywhere. Chinese are Chinese. Germans are Germans. If you're from Japan, you're Japanese. If you're from Australia, you're Australian. If you're from the United States, you're a citizen of the United States. If we want to start talking about Americans and what true Americans are, the copper tone people of this continent, this North Gate, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
When you get bumped up against people who in your home treating you the wrong way, it feels different than if you was brought here. I don't feel like I was brought here because I know I wasn't brought here. You didn't have this is a whole nother conversation, but you didn't have the capabilities of bringing people here back and forth like that. You thought the planet was flat in 1492. And so-called everything changed at that point. And you start dragging the world's strongest people from a continent to another continent by the millions. You
And
gotta stop playing with the minds of people like you, and that's the problem. And so this is, and
this
I'm gonna
another
get,
conversation. This is a whole nother conversation right here.
but that creates the situation where you like, okay, I'm a victim. I'm always coming from the side of a victim. I gotta come from the bottom. Now I'm here. You know what I'm saying? This not mine. I'm from somewhere else. I'm on another land. You know what I'm saying? This man treating me like this because I'm on his land. It wasn't never meant for me to be set up like this. That mind state creates certain behaviors. A different mind state where you in my house, and for some reason you running my house. That you move different when it's like that. If you coming from that perspective versus you in somebody else's house and you gonna tiptoe around and make sure that you don't walk too loud so you don't wake them up while they getting dressed in the morning, while they sleeping in the morning, you get dressed for work. Versus this my house, I'm gonna move how I want to do. You a guest in my house. I brought you over here over papers. It'll be like I say, it'll be a whole nother conversation when I get into it. But that is the root of this.
It
The fact
is.
that we're causing an identity struggle, and we think we these victims in the wrong way. We've been victimized in the wrong way. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I remember. I don't know if y'all seen the movie The Butler, right? When Forrest goes to Oprah, go back to his farm that he was raised on, and he and as he's walking, he says this phrase, and I never forget it till the day I die. He goes, "America has always turned a blind eye to the way that it treats its own." You know
Hey.
And America refuses to accept the fact that they enslaved people. They refuse to acknowledge that part of history. Like they don't want to. They want to act like that shit ain't happened. You know what I
They
mean?
want to act like the results of it aren't residual. Like the dividends don't keep coming in like a stock you invested in 400 years ago. Like you still ain't got money in that company. You still got money in that company, whether you know it or not.
Right.
That's the whole thing about it. You benefit off stock that you know that you've been invested in for years. So when you walk out of your house, you have no idea. You're not even thinking about being worried about the police. They work for you. They're here to protect you. They make you feel comfortable. But when they were first instituted, they were here to go grab niggas who they wanted to put back in enslavement, who they wanted to kidnap and go back to work and do the work that they had no clue to do because, first of all, they wasn't from here. You were allowed to come here from the current residents. And it wasn't the people who running the gambling things over our 441. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm here to tell you. The night is going down. I didn't know it was going down like that. But hey.
I want to know why this Debbie Chauvin case is taking so long.
The dude who stomped out George?
Yeah.
They got to go through process. Let them go through process so that everything
his Fifth Amendment.
Say that again?
He invoked his Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, don't say nothing. Let your actions speak for you, homie. I don't want to hear nothing your mouth got to say. See, you can't play games with a native. Like, I know who you is. Let your actions speak for you. You ain't got to say nothing. If I want you back in this society, then we'll let you back in this society. If we don't, then you won't. Then you won't.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's how it works. Those are being judged by your peers. We want you in society or we don't. We probably don't want you back, knee kneeler, with your hand in your pocket, using leverage to kill his brother. You ain't think that's what I'm saying. Stop playing with me because I'm not going to be you. I'm not going to sit there and let you do this. It's going to be a whole lot of hocus and commotion.
Expression clearly showed that he did not give one fuck that his knee was on this man's neck. That this man was screaming out for his mother, that he couldn't breathe. I mean,
like we said, this stuff ain't no accident. It don't keep repeatedly happening because of some glitches in the system. It's taught.
Targeted.
It's trained. It's socialized. It's conditioned. It's even unknowingly on many of these white people who participate in police and think that they are, my country's getting out of control. I got to do something. What's getting out of control? The fact that people who don't look like you are starting to have some power in this system that you were raised to think that you created. Just like I tell people all the time, they're going to start telling people that Eminem came from Brooklyn and Biggie was Eminem. They're going to gentrify the hell out of this shit we came from. I'm telling you, watch you see how stuff happen. We look at them pyramids and we think about some brown skinned people, you know what I'm saying? And they think Elizabeth Taylor. They're going to whitewash our whole hip hop history. And you know, I'm telling you, if we just let it ride, it'll happen.
Hey, let me tell you how this, or just how my mind works. Like, well, Google, you know, Tone, you don't know, but Google, you know, I listen to a lot of jazz, like a lot of it. Like that's how I start my day.
I wanted to hear what he had to say.
I was just saying I listen to a lot of jazz. Like that's how I start my day. A lot of times that's how I end my day. And in the middle of all that shit, it's a bunch of the shit we like. So I was listening to Miles Davis, I want to say Sunday, and he got this song called "It Never Entered My Mind," right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you depend the song, it really play on your emotions. Hence the title, "It Never Entered My Mind." At least to me, this is just my interpretation of how the song made me feel.
Right.
And y'all can look it up. It's on Tidal, it's on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, whatever you got, YouTube Music. But the song is called "It Never Entered My Mind." And what I realized about the song is that however you feeling, the song gonna feed that emotion. It's not like it's not like a love song. Like if you're not in love, the shit it just sound good, but it's not gonna tap into you emotionally. It's not like listening to NWA or Public Enemy when shit like Dante Wright and George Floyd happened, where it's gonna tap into you emotionally, but only if you outraged about some shit. You know what I'm saying? It never entered my mind. It feeds whatever you feeling. Hence the title. And it's the way the song was composed. It's the way that them horns hit. It's the way. So to put it in perspective, if you having a good day, if you and your lady in love, if your mama beat cancer, if you beat cancer, if you got a raise at your job, if you got a promotion, if you listen to that song, it's gonna feed that. You're gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you having a fucked up day, if you thinking about this Dante Wright shit, if you thinking about George Floyd shit, if your mama cancer came out of remission, if your cancer came out of remission, if you got into a car accident today and you ain't had no insurance, or you got into a car accident today and you fucked up your new car, it's gonna feed that emotion too. It's such a brilliant composition.
Mm.
Because there's no way, it's one of those songs that you can't listen to in a neutral state. Like if you're happy, it's gonna feed that. If you sad, it's gonna feed that. If you in love, it's gonna feed that. That's America. You know what I'm saying? And
That is that is the truth.
Yeah.
that shit is gonna America is gonna cater to whatever you feeling. If you a nigga that's getting money and you on top and you love name brand shit and you infatuated with Gucci and you want to drive a Benz and you want to do all that shit, America gonna cater to that. If you a nigga that's living in the hood and your mama on Section 8 housing and you a teenage and you a girl that's a victim of teenage pregnancy, or if you a nigga that gotta stand on the corner to sell dope to kind of provide for your family, America gonna cater to that too. And it's gonna make you feel all of that. America gonna remind you that you gotta take these chances to feed your family. America gonna remind you that, hey, you got pregnant when you was 15. America gonna remind you that, hey, you in Section 8 housing.
Mm.
But if you winning, America gonna also remind you that, hey, buy this new Mercedes. Hey, buy this new Rolex. Hey, it's gonna feed. America is gonna feed whatever emotion that you feel. It's gonna feed whatever situation you in. It's gonna feed that shit. And you gonna thrive off it, or you may become depressed by it, but whatever you feeling, America is gonna cater to that feeling. You know why? Because America has no identity.
Mm.
There's no identity. When you think about all the shit that's considered American, all that shit bad for you. Think of an American dish.
Tobacco.
Think of what name an American food. Name a food that America created.
Hot dog.
That shit ain't good for you. Name another food America created.
And now, so based on when you come up, you will see American as a certain thing. You see American
thing.
Americana.
If you winning, you think America is great. If you losing, you gonna think this is some bullshit.
Yeah. Perspective.
Whatever your perspective is, America is gonna be that.
Go ahead.
Now, it never entered my mind. Miles Davis' dad was one of the first black dentists in America. Little known fact. Watch the Miles Davis documentary on Netflix. Miles Davis actually came from an actual well-off family.
Mm.
His dad was a dentist. One of the first black dentists in America, bro.
Mm.
But Miles Davis also fell victim to drug abuse and crack, and he was abusive, and he was all these things. Miles Davis encapsulated everything that America is about.
Mm.
came from a family that was successful, but he also experienced. He became a great jazz musician, probably one of the greatest ever.
He probably is the greatest. Him, it's a of
But
him.
he also had to deal with the things that made him black.
Mm.
He dealt with drug addiction. He dealt with all. He is America in a nutshell. Watch the Miles Davis documentary, dog. He is genius.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Genius.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I think he went to Juilliard. He did all, but and I don't know why he was the way he was. I don't know why he was an abuser of drugs and women. I don't know, but I do know one thing. I do know that all that shit. If you don't ever watch a Miles Davis documentary, if you don't ever delve into who Miles Davis was as a person, because he was such a great musician, all that shit gets a blind eye gets turned to it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's America. If you're great at something, then all your shortcomings, people turn them blind. Babe Ruth,
Yeah.
he was alcoholic.
Babe Ruth is black. He is what y'all would refer to today as a black person. I'm throwing it out there. Babe Ruth is black.
He might have been mixed.
Play whatever you want to. Y'all think I'm joking. I'm like, good.
But you know what though? But real
I
quick,
just
though,
can't wait till the real story come out, dog. I hope I get the little story. We can't talk about, do you think we'll lead the city change? The change will be when the real history was told and you find out that you really weren't brought over here by the millions from another continent. You brought yourself over here a long time ago. You've been back and forth for the whole time. And you know why I feel so bad over here? Because you home, dog.
You home,
People keep kicking you in your chest at your house.
right?
But you keep getting brought up under the idea that you've been brought here, so you under some internal conflict. That's why we have an identity crisis. That's the problem, dog. From where I'm sitting. And I'm gonna tell you that's what the problem is. Fuck where I'm sitting. That's what the problem is.
Do you okay? So let's
But I do want to say one thing though, real quick though. I do want to say one thing, and I'm sure all three of us could probably attest to this. I'm not gonna say all white people is bad.
Not at all.
Not at all. Because I
got a white friend.
Yeah.
Hey.
Not at all. My mother has made it to where my life, I've seen the best things in life. I've seen the hood. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it all. And I've been blessed to have been encountered some really cool, white people. I mean, I just hate using colors, bro. But some really cool white individuals. You know what I'm saying?
That shit makes no sense, dog. When you really look back at it, you be like, why aren't you purple? You gotta start finding.
You know what I'm saying? But, I think at the end of the day, it's really just about how you. And it's crazy because when I'm at work, one of my boss used to say to me, like, yeah, you only deal with the people with bad credit. You make them spend money, like, the ratchets and all that. I'm like, man, I could sell to anybody. But it's crazy because, especially like, the past couple of years with the whole, how much racism is in, it's been like out here, but it's always been here. But now it's like back on Front Street. I feel like whenever I deal with Caucasians, I make it my duty to represent us well.
And that is playing on defense.
Playing on defense.
That's what we talked about earlier. Going out of your way to be a specific behavior to appease somebody because you know that there's probably a prejudged notion of who you are. So in an effort to show that, hey, I am not that prejudged notion. I'm this. I'm playing defense.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So in order to score, I got to take the ball from you, steal it, get a turnover, let you shoot, get a rebound, and then go down and score.
Right.
Because you don't want to cater to the preconceived notion.
Right.
No. But I learned that from my mother with working in corporate America. Like, you just always supposed to, like, handle yourself with class and be class. Like, we all have our moments, but it's a time and place for everything. You know what I'm saying?
But we get put under the guise or under the umbrella that it needs to be because of your so-called melanated skin, melanated tone.
Yeah.
When it's really the fact that you own this goddamn planet, that you need to honor and respect everybody around you. You need to be an upstanding representation of carbon in the 6-time form on this planet, dog.
Right.
It mathematically performs poorly for you to be disrespectful on this planet, whether it's to the other organisms, whether to whatever. It is mathematically poor, the product that comes out on the other side.
I'm a firm believer that, you know, I don't want nobody to not be themselves. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to be themselves. However, if you being you, it's disruptive to us as a whole, then you need to be you on your own time.
Right.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like, I'm saying, like, I'm okay with you being you. However, when you around me and my people and other people that deserve respect, you need to I don't give if you got to put the mask on, put the mask on. I don't want you to not be you, but whoever you are, you need to tone that shit down and be you on your own time. Because sometimes being you're a fucking horrible person.
That's a fact.
So if you're a horrible person, but you're in a situation where you got to function in society, I'm not telling you not to be you, but just be you on your own time when you in your house or when you around others that think and act like you. Yeah. Then you can be you. But when you're around people that don't deserve to be disrespected and all that shit, then you need to be you on your own time. That's me time. That's the real definition of me time. It's fucking being you on your own time if who you are disrupts others.
Right. And I remember the other day, I was in Ross, and these two black girls was just fighting in there over a fucking spot in the line. And I was just so embarrassed, bro. Like, over a spot in the line. Got the whole rubbling, the whole thing. And then this was a grown woman and a young lady. Might have been like 21. The other lady was like 45. It was insane. Like, so embarrassed. It's crazy, man.
And that's
hey, 21 and older, let another nigga motor. That's a jigger line.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Well cultured, dog.
Yeah, it is a situation of being there's an undercurrent of instability because deep down inside, you know that you ain't foreign to this situation. You know what I'm saying? But you keep getting treated like you foreign to it. And then nowadays, people are pretending that, like, I hate to say pretending, but it's like, why are we still doing this? Why is this still happening? Haven't we seen enough? Isn't it? Because it is trained.
Oh, I was about
on purpose. There is no these are not accidental. And when they are accidental, they've been conditioned in the back end so that you go as a reflex to go to your conditioned state to think that this person is what you've been told it is.
Ain't that what I was talking to you about the other day about the warrior training?
Yeah.
These cops is conditioned to handle every situation as if it was a confrontation, like life or death type of thing. Like,
I gotta get home, and I understand that. I gotta get home, dog. You don't think you're the only one who gotta get home or who want to get home? And I'm gonna tell you, the math on peace is a lot greater than the math on violence for getting home. I'm sorry to tell you, as a scientist and a mathematician, I've run the numbers. The analytics show that peace plus peace equals home more times than peace minus violence, peace plus violence, peace times violence, peace divided by violence. You're going to get some violence on the other end that which potential to get home is not there. But peace plus peace always equals home, dog. Leave me alone, please. Dog. I don't want nothing from you but you to leave me alone, dog.
Yo, I'm so happy you used the term undercurrent because when I'm talking to when I'm talking to parents and I'm talking to students, right? And they're trying to figure out how they're gonna pay for college. And they like, we did the FAFSA, and the numbers are the numbers. Like, my kid, they didn't get offered any grants or nothing like that. And I'm not trying to, like, the numbers are the numbers. Like, I actually make that. But we have some extenuating circumstances. I have sick parents that live with me. I pay for their medicine. I do all this shit. My wife, she had surgery, or my husband, he had surgery, and we paying medical bills. We doing all this shit. So I'm happy you use the term undercurrent, because when I talk to them, the government don't really give a fuck about extenuating circumstances.
No.
Police don't give a fuck about extenuating circumstances. America don't give a fuck about extenuating circumstances. All they looking at is the numbers, right? They just looking at the numbers. And if the numbers say this, and this say that, they don't care why the numbers are this. They don't care about the reason. They don't care about the reason. If the crime rate is high in your neighborhood, they're not examining why the crime rate is high. All they're looking at is that these numbers show that the crime rate is high, and we got to resolve this by any means possible.
Right. If we got this up, we gonna lock him up.
We're gonna lock them up. But when I talk to parents, and it's the same conversation I have with police at the airport, there's an undercurrent that the government don't give a fuck about. So we have to put things in place in order for you to explain what those extenuating circumstances is. So I use the ocean as an analogy. On the surface of the ocean, everything may look calm, everything may look peaceful, but underwater, there's sharks eating fish, there's sharks eating seals. There's orcas and whales and shit terrorizing colonies of fish. But on the surface, shit look fine because all that mayhem is happening so deep underwater that it's not disrupting the surface. But that don't negate the fact that that mayhem is still happening. So explain to me what your undercurrent is. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your undercurrent? Why is crime so high in Black and brown neighborhoods? Crime is so high in Black and brown neighborhoods, and as a nigga who I know Goo work in the school system, is because, bro, we don't have resources.
Yep.
And I'm not playing the world's smallest violin, cracker. This is what it is. The resources don't exist, or if they do exist, they're very minimal. When your mama 12 and your daughter 20, when your mama 24 and your daughter 12, that's a problem. There's a lot of things happening in Black and brown communities. That's the undercurrent. And we are, and to us who live in those communities, it's not an undercurrent at all. We know what this shit. We know what's going on every day.
Right. I know. We are the orcas.
We survived it. Yeah, we are the orcas. But to white folk, and don't get it fucked up. White folk know what's going on too. But in order to continue to cater to the narrative that you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, in order to continue to cater to the narrative that y'all not doing nothing for y'all self, they got to continue to act like they don't know that all this shit is going on. Let's think about this for a minute. When Michelle Obama enacted the Let's Move shit, and when she tried to say, hey, you can't use food stamps to buy processed food and do all this shit, motherfuckers raised hell. You can't tell me what to do with our food stamps. No, we can't. But bro, the shit that y'all doing with y'all food stamps is making America fat. And the thing about it is, America being fat ain't just a Black problem.
It's a both problem.
Right.
You ever watch My 600-Pound Life?
Right. And I just had somebody follow me. One of the contestants from My 600-Pound Life just started following me on IG. Shout out to Mars. Uh, it's real, and like I say, and we're gonna wrap it up in a second. But all of that is
up, Goo. I'm proud of you, Goo. You leveling up, dog.
word up. We getting this thing together, man. You know what I'm saying?
Leveling up over there.
Getting this thing together. Shout out to the guy. Hopefully, we can get this person's life together. That's what I do. My whole thing is to try to help people. Like I'm really trying to figure out what is the best avenue in order to help people based on what I know. And the stuff that I know is fitness, health, and wellness, and really living this life with a certain level of awareness and background information that allow you to navigate without as much anxiety as you've been navigating under. You know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly a student. That's what makes me a teacher. You know what I'm saying? I'm constantly trying to get my head underwater about something. So when I come up for breath, I'm breathing and I'm telling the people what I done learned while I was underwater doing this deep dive with the orcas and the seals and the plankton trying to get this photo, you know what I'm saying, get this thing right. But this whole episode was an effort just to show that, listen, none of this stuff is happening by happenstance. None of this stuff is happening because there's still some bad eggs out there, some bad seeds out there. The people who are doing this want to do it. They joined that institution because they knew they would be safe doing it. That institution harbors people that does it, whether they want to admit it or not, through their unions and through their pool. And because they are that union, or because they are that institution, we don't have the leverage to rebel against them in a manner that allows us to get the product that we want, which is leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
That's all, dog.
And the
I
crazy
don't
part is when
need
they think you being aggressive. Dog, just leave me alone, please. They think they trying to escalate it.
Just and to go back to the movie, regardless of what you do, you're gonna escalate it. You can read them a poem by William Shakespeare, edited by Maya Angelou, illustrated by Vincent Van Gogh, with dance moves from Turbo and Ozone. And you're liable to not make it home, dog. It don't matter what the ingredients are. Some people in that institution have decided that they are not here. And I'm just not going to say that they're part of that institution. They all sprinkled throughout the European American community. And they do not have a desire to relinquish any of these entitlements that they've gotten because of their lack of melanin, because of their ancestors' stock in violence that they still collect the dividends on. We no longer playing the game of hiding the fact that America is built on violence of the back of us. I don't really want to recall I say black people so I can communicate with people, but you can't be black. We are Americans. Amarucans. We from here, dog. We've been here since been here. And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm gonna hit the music. Don't hit the link when after I'm done.
Hey, wait. Before you hit the music, please go listen to It Never Entered My Mind.
I'm gonna watch the documentary. It's on Netflix like now.
Yeah, it's
on Netflix now. But listen, and actually they play It Never Entered My Mind during the documentary. But it's no dialogue about the song, none of that shit. They just play it. But I'm telling you, in terms of my interpretation, please listen to it tonight while it's fresh on your mind, and let me know if it don't evoke emotion.
The Miles Davis documentary, as well as, and it just slipped my mind that quick.
It never entered my mind.
It's in my mind.
The Miles, but what's my saxophonist? His documentary, Coltrane.
Oh, and watch the Coltrane documentary.
Coltrane documentary.
I'm gonna tell you something. There's some amazing, like, not just on the entertainment side. There's some amazing, like, black people on the power side of the, the whole entertainment industry. Like, I mean, we already know what Quincy Jones do.
It only happens because of us, dog.
It's
You
just
think
like,
rock and roll, dog, in a simple form, we think rock and roll belonged to a bunch of Europeans who came from across the border when Chuck Berry is rock and roll.
Little
James
Richard.
Brown, Little Richard is rock and roll. That is rock and roll. It was co-opted, dog. Just like this Trump look like it look now. On when you get further east, if you born now, you like, oh, the crackers stay on that side. No. And it's gonna happen in your neighborhood, it's gonna happen everywhere, and it's gonna shift. It's a cycle of it, dog. Like we talked about the seasons of these things changing. You migrate, you just can't let the story get lost, dog. You can't let the history get lost, because then you get lost in your identity and you start taking on these forms. Don't drop off. Young Goob the God, the Marleyminded podcast. I want that thing louder, but it ain't.
Showed up a little late, better late than never.
Ant in the building. We letting our generation the Xennials. We ain't Gen X, we ain't millennials. We somewhere caught in that gray area. They made the computers for us. We here to go ahead and put this thing out there in the atmosphere. It's Marley Minded TV. It's the Marley Minded podcast. We here. Like, subscribe, rate, review, do what it do. The Sneaker Hunter, Fit Life for me, Soul Music, Spin TV. Oh Lord. Make sure you're around for this thing.
Yes, sir.
Be easy. Take two wings to fly.